Rich woman pretends to be a beggar, you won't believe what happens next. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was a cold morning, and the city streets were already buzzing with people rushing to work. I was standing by a small coffee shop, sipping on a warm cup of tea, when my eyes fell on an old woman sitting on the sidewalk. Her clothes were dirty and torn, her hands rough and shaking from the cold. She held a small paper cup, hoping for a few coins from the strangers passing by. At first, she looked like any other homeless person. But there was something different about her, something in her eyes. They weren't empty or defeated like many I had seen before. Instead, they held a quiet strength, as if she wasn't truly meant to be there. There was a depth in them, as if they had seen more of the world than most. It intrigued me. I watched as people passed her by, some pretending not to see her, others throwing in a few coins without even stopping. A few people sneered at her, shaking their heads as if she was nothing more than a burden on society. But then, something remarkable happened. A young boy, no older than 8 or 9, approached her. He wore an old hoodie and carried a small bag. Without hesitation, he took out a sandwich, handed it to her, and smiled. "Here, ma'am," he said softly. "I don't have money, but this is my lunch. You need it more than me." The old woman's hands trembled as she took the sandwich. She looked at the boy, her eyes filled with something I couldn't quite explain. Gratitude? Pain? A mix of both? She whispered a small, "Thank you," and the boy walked away, his head held high. That moment stuck with me. I had seen so many people ignore the homeless, yet this little boy, who didn't have much himself, was willing to give all he had. It made me wonder, how often do we overlook kindness? How often do we assume the worst about people in need? The next day, I saw her again. This time, I decided to get closer. I walked up and dropped a few bills into her cup. But instead of thanking me, she looked up and smiled, a smile that sent a chill down my spine. It was too perfect. Too familiar. Then, she spoke. "You have a kind heart. But tell me, do you believe that what you see is always the truth?" Her voice was smooth, elegant even. Definitely not what I expected from someone living on the streets. That's when it hit me, I knew this woman. Or at least, I had seen her before. She was Eleanor Lancaster, a millionaire philanthropist known for her charity work. But why was she dressed as a beggar? I had to know the truth. So, I asked her. She chuckled softly and gestured for me to sit beside her on the cold pavement. I hesitated but eventually did. "I wanted to see the world from this side," she admitted. "I spend millions on charity, but I started wondering, do people help because they care, or because they want to feel good about themselves?" I listened as she shared her experience. She had been living as a beggar for a week, learning how people treated the homeless. Some were kind, like the little boy. Others were cruel, hurling insults and treating her like she was invisible. Some shop owners even threatened to call the police, demanding she move away from their storefronts as if she was ruining their business just by existing. "But do you know what hurt the most?" she asked, her voice breaking. It wasn't the insults or the cold. It was the loneliness. The feeling of not being seen. People look at beggars like they're less than human. Her words hit me hard. I had always thought of myself as a good person, but had I ever truly seen those in need? Had I ever done more than drop some change into a cup? Had I ever stopped to ask their name, their story? Eleanor stood up, dusted off her clothes, and smiled. "This experiment taught me more than I ever imagined. I don't just want to donate money, I want to change lives." And with that, she walked away, disappearing into the crowd. The next day, news broke about a new project. Eleanor Lancaster was launching a program to provide real opportunities for the homeless, not just temporary relief. She didn't just want to offer handouts, she wanted to create jobs, training programs, housing, and mental health support for those who had been forgotten by society. I never saw her in disguise again, but I never forgot what she taught me. That day changed how I saw the world, and I promised myself I would never look away from those in need again. A few months later, I saw that little boy again. He was sitting on the same street corner, but this time, Eleanor was there too. She was kneeling beside him, talking to him with the same warmth and kindness he had shown her. It turns out, she had tracked him down and offered his struggling family the help they desperately needed. His mother had lost her job, and they had been on the verge of eviction. But thanks to Eleanor's new initiative, his mother found stable work, and they were moving into a small apartment. I couldn't believe it. That simple act of kindness, one small sandwich, had started a chain reaction that changed not just one life, but many. And that's when I truly understood. Real change doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes, it starts with something as small as a sandwich and a genuine smile. Since that day, I have never walked past a homeless person without acknowledging them. I started volunteering at shelters, listening to the stories of those who had been ignored for far too long. I learned that behind every face, there is a story, one of struggle, of loss, but also of hope. Eleanor taught me that seeing is not enough. Compassion without action is meaningless. It is easy to judge, to assume, to ignore. But real kindness, the kind that changes lives, requires more. It requires effort, understanding, and the willingness to step outside of our comfort zones. And maybe, just maybe, if more of us did that, the world would be a much better place. Hello, amazing viewer. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more awesome content, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Let me know what you think. And if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please share it with your friends and family. Your support means the world to me and helps this channel grow. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.